Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. I'm Mike, and it's just me tonight. I know, you'd rather hear from Mr. Rob Bogan and the curated culture, or Jameson's next rant on what happened in Hawaii, or what I would call Hawaiian trespassing, because I'm pretty sure that's next. But no, it's just me. It's just me tonight. There's a couple of things. Yes, there's going to be a topic, and it's going to be kind of an old school situational topic, but we're going to start off with a kind of a Dear Diary moment. There are times when things are just challenging. There's good things, bad things, and sometimes those things mix. And I've had that recently. Things that are exciting and get you fired up, while other times just drag you down and are discouraging. There's ups and downs on a regular basis. And that happens. And it happens to me quite a bit, especially if you're a big fan of sustainability, because things change so often. And there are some allies out there when it comes to sustainability, but sometimes they're just hard to find, and you have to kind of muddle your way through. Over the last 5 or so years since I've lived in my town, we've done some pretty amazing things. I've met some really amazing people who care about their community and work very, very hard on a regular basis to always do better. And then sometimes there's just others who hold things back, listen to rumors, and use those rumors to sound off. It is very disheartening, but I want to talk about good things first. Number one, now, I don't know if anybody knows this, but in the state of Michigan, they are looking for recycling plans. Really what they're looking for is trash reduction plans, because as much as we want to say it's all about recycling, it's all about the earth, and it's all about doing the right thing, the state of Michigan pays too much for trash. So they're asking every county to look in how they manage their trash, how they're going to reduce the tonnage. And in most places, that's just, City Hall or the township office that deal with these things. They might bring some people in, they might do a couple of meetings, but really it's just going to be a handful of people who come up with a plan that is suitable for the state, and there's not going to be a lot of heart in it. Here it's a little different. We're pretty lucky. We are in a county where the Cook Foundation is. And not that I've met anybody at the Cook Foundation. I just hear wonderful, wonderful things about the kind of projects they help support. And one of them is this recycling initiative. And what they're looking for is, what do people want? What are people willing to do? What are the things out there people are worried about? And I'm not necessarily sure that was someplace I needed to go, but I wanted to. I wanted to show up for anything recycling, and I wanted to sit back and listen, which everybody knows is kind of a struggle for me. I always end up in the conversation. And that's exactly what happened, because they're asking decent questions. They're asking what people are willing to do, what people think it should be, and all these normal questions. And all I can keep thinking of is kind of the cynical side of sustainability. Is this an organization that is trying to make the best and most robust plan? Or is it like many cities, states, and counties where they just create a plan, they know it's going to fail, actually they hope it fails, so they can turn around to any environmentalist or any sustainability expert and say, see, we tried, it's a bad idea, and then they move on. So I worry about things like that. But after spending some time having that conversation, I do believe that the Cook Foundation is there for good reasons. I think they're there to make sure that we create the most robust plan in the state and that we have a plan to follow it. So that's exciting. I do hope that they get everything, all the information they need. I hope they get everything situated exactly like they want to, because that would be pretty cool. I'd love to see an organic food recycling program with compost. I would love to see partnerships that are profitable for businesses and helpful for the community. And I hope that that's really the route they're going to go in, because, man, it's cheaper. Sustainability, when done correctly, is always more cost effective. And I left there optimistic. I left there happy. I met a couple of new friends. There was only 6 people, and that tells you exactly the problem what we have for sustainability is here we are on a weekend, and 6 total people show up to have this conversation. I think they were, hoping or expecting closer to 20 or 30, and we got 6. But we got 6 good people. We had a good conversation. So hopefully they take that information back and they do something fantastic with it. At this point, I'm a spectator. I'm going to sit back and watch and hope that this organization does the things that I think they want to do. Number 2, there was some discouragement. I am not a person who keeps secrets. I'm literally on the air right now, right? I don't, I'm a wide open book in 99% of my life. If someone asks, I answer the question. When it comes to community building, I get excited. And I also don't think that I don't think any of that should be some top secret mission or a game or a way for political, I don't know, clout, whatever terminology. All I want to see is positive things happen, people reap the rewards from it, and joy brought to the community. Bottom line. And sometimes talking about the things you're doing help grow those projects. But I have to do some self-reflecting right now. I'm going to take a little time out when it comes to working within the city, working within the town, because I keep hearing the same thing. Now, do I believe this thing that's always being said? Not always, but when you hear things more than once, or it has the same kind of, stab at you, it's time to sit back and see, is it really you? Because anybody can say, no, I didn't, no, I didn't, and it drives you bonkers, right? There's always that person that says, I never did that. Like someone step on your foot and blaming your foot for being there. So for me not to be that person, I have to be better at it. I have to stop. I have to self reflect, because way back when we were doing the edible landscape, there were people mad at me then. I didn't even know for the longest time between there's problems with the edible landscape, or I was opening up a market at Dabble so small businesses could set up their tents and sell their wares when we were having one of our largest festivals of the year. In my mind, what a great opportunity for them to get an inexpensive space and sell their products when the most people are in town. To others, I was riding their coattails. And so I had to stop and think, was that my intent? But even this last time that I went on the recycling roundtable, again, verbiage comes back. It's a small town, it's a game of telephone, and people act like they're 7 years old because they'll never call you. Actually, one person will. Thanks, Candace. I appreciate it. At least now I know. But no one will come to you and say, "Hey, I've heard this," and discuss it like an adult. They play the game of telephone in a small town. And it's unfortunate, because I think when people talk to each other, they find their common grounds, they work together better. And that's not what happens. Very often you have these little factions and everybody has to talk about someone else. Well, the thing that was said about me was a lot of the same. I was name dropping important people and making myself look bigger, look better. I'm not sure. There was an individual I recently met who was a state rep. So maybe that is the me trying to look more important. And I could see where that perception would be there. For me, there's a massive excitement of the things that we're accomplishing. First of all, the internet. We're just trying to get this invoice updated so we can pay for it. And next thing you know, this town's going to have free internet. That's a big deal. I'm very excited about that. It's kind of like one of those hang your hat kind of projects. I was asked to be part of another project. And here's the deal. I'm going to talk about it. I use my words carefully, and I make sure everybody knows it's not in the process of being done. The internet is, but the next one is just getting started. But in a small town, it just drives people bonkers. It comes across as, apparently, as I'm acting too big for my britches, if you will. So it's time for me to stop and reevaluate myself and make sure that's not who I'm being. Because honestly, inside, I don't necessarily. I like the fact that I get along with most people, and actually wish I got along with all people. It's just my nature. I don't like having enemies. As a kid, I had tons of them. I'm over it. I would much rather get along, work together, and help the community as one big group. Some people don't, and they have different reasons. It might be political because they think that that's makes them a big important person, or they don't have the self-worth. It could be anything. I don't know because I've never held those seats. I've never felt that pressure. But all I want to do is help the community. And it's exhausting. It is flat out exhausting. I have no interest in being famous. Yep, I have websites. Yes, we talk about these projects we on the podcast. We talk about these projects on the website and occasionally on the news or whoever else calls us because we want people all over the world to see success. Durand is having success. In just a few years, they've made massive strides. Concerts in the streets that bring communities together by the hundreds. Car shows that really not even rivaled. Cars that stretch the length of the city. This small town has amazing events. In the chamber and Candace and the people who worked so hard, Blair and just and Mayor Jeff, all of the people who put all that time in have created really the ball is rolling fast and it gets exciting and I like to talk about it. It isn't that I need to be important. Honestly, I don't want to be famous. You know how bad it would suck to lose your privacy? I think that would be kind of terrible or at least very hard. It's hard enough now when we go to the grocery store and someone wants to chat and my kids just wander off because they know it's going to be a minute, but that's partially because I just like to chat. We want to show people that this stuff works. I'm getting older. The games aren't as fun. It kills the excitement when people act like that. It kills the progress. Everyone pretends like they're more than just a person trying to make others' lives better. I'm not really sure where people get off acting like that. It doesn't matter what seat you hold in a small community, you have one job: make everybody's life a little better. That is it. You don't do it for the money because it's almost zero, and some of them are zero. And you don't do it for fame. There's 3,200 people in our town. You do it to make the town better. You do it to make the people's lives more enriched who are living in that town. It's sad. It really is. We make so much progress, but yet there's so much negativity and high school rumors. And I'll be honest, I think I've said it before. I'm soft hearted. I don't read a lot of the comments on things because I do take it personal. And in that way, I'm very, very soft. So when these things happen, but they don't have enough respect to talk to me, it makes me sad. I'm going to see the internet through. That was kind of a big deal. And we'll be testing it next month, releasing it at the end of May. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to go out and pull weeds for the Edible Landscape Project. I'll do that for the rest of my life. That was one of those. Well, I'm so glad Jeff said we should go do this because it kind of changed how I see a lot of things. I can continue to rehab homes. You guys saw videos about that, or me opening my business. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe it's time to rest. Maybe it's time to stop rehabbing some homes. Maybe it's time to not be really overly focused on the business. Just keep it running and keep doing the things I do for kids and those who need it. But maybe I don't do quite as much as I did in the past. Maybe it's time for others to build and run social programs. I don't know, but maybe I need to slow down for a little bit. I could see where that would be beneficial to me. We'll see. It was disheartening. It bothered me. But there's so many good things happening. I'd hate for it to stop. I'd hate for all of it to end. Okay, probably enough of my Dear Diary moment there, right? It's a good thing I take my magic mind, or I'd be starting to get all kinds of depressed. Thank goodness. Every morning, Magic Mind. Every night, Magic Mind Sleep Aid. That is how it's working. It's probably time to jump back into my dashboard. By the way, the dashboard is very, very simple. It gives you all the information. You can up the amount that you get. You can lower it. You can skip a month. Everything is there. You can cancel it without someone yelling at you. You can do anything you want within that dashboard. That's what I like about it. Remember, I bumped it up last time. I've received them. Remember, I got extra because I'm going to try to give Mike some from his birthday, even though I missed the birthday. We went out, but I didn't take them with me. But now that I've got his extra, time to bring it back down to my level and what I use. The mental performance shot has helped me so much at work. Brain fog is gone. My sharpness is back. And here I am, creeping up on 50 years old. I say that as if maybe you guys would be shocked, but I look in the mirror, I think it's probably right around where it looks. 50 years old, but I'm still sharp. I'm still capable of doing a high performance job. I'm capable of balancing multiple jobs and multiple things. Thank you, Magic Mind. I personally greatly appreciate it. And if you want to try your own, and since you're listening to Realistic Sustainability, you can get 20% off. Just go down in the link down in the description, click it, and make sure you use sustainability. Sustainability gets you 20% off in the coupon code. So try it today. And if you do, let me know how you like it. Give it a couple weeks. See if you feel like you're thinking clearer, that if you're using the sleep aid, you're able to go to bed and sleep much easier throughout the night, and you wake up so much more well rested. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. Anyways, let's get back to the show. When I was talking about my Dear Diary moment, one of the things that I did notice while at that recycling roundtable was very few people understood sustainability from a foundation standpoint. They see recycling, they see conservation, they see environmentalism, but they don't see how sustainability functions, which in that case, it uses that three pillars of sustainability. You've heard me say it like season one, and I've mentioned it in other stuff. But in order for things to be truly sustainable, anything, your household, your work, or your city, there's three aspects that you have to be mindful of. So when I was talking to them about recycling, I was talking about things that fit in these three categories. Obviously, the easiest is environmental. When it comes to sustainability, there's a level of environmental focus that you have to have. That is, protecting natural resources, reducing your pollution, maintaining biodiversity, and making sure your ecosystems remain functional for the generations after you. And again, definition of sustainability, meeting today's societal needs. And again, the verbiage varies, but to meet today's societal needs without sacrificing future generations. That right there, it tells you that ecosystem has to remain functional for future generations. Good examples, renewable energy is obviously one of them. Anything that is finite isn't permanent, just by definition. So you work towards things that aren't. You got to be able to have a better agricultural process and system, crop rotation, organic farming, maintaining soil health, so on and so forth. Because if not, you get things like the Dust Bowl, where you have depletion. Or in the 80s, ozone depletion was a big deal. And there was a massive environmental effort to make sure that the chemicals that were causing that were no longer used. So your pillar one is sustainability is environmental, but people forget the other two. The first one's the easiest. The first one by far is the easiest. Second one is social. That's quite often forgotten. Social is I'm going to call it the forgotten sustainability pillar. It's education, it's healthcare, it's human rights, it's labor practices, it's fostering strong communities. It is the things that improve the quality of life we talked about in the first half of the show. Universal education, workers' rights, fair wages, all those ethical practices, not this holding people's feet to the fire so they can work more hours for less money. That isn't sustainable. If you look back in history, it brings out the pitchforks. Those let them eat cake, which I don't believe she said, but those let them eat cake moments turn into the high use of a guillotine. So if you're going to be sustainable in any aspect, it has to include the social part of it. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about. Your household, well, there's a social aspect of if there's anybody in the house other than you. In your community, absolutely. There's people everywhere. That's why it's a community. At your work, so when companies say that they have a sustainability department, they're usually talking about saving on paper. They're usually talking about printing on both sides and turning the ink to grayscale. But what they should be looking at also is the equity that they have within their employees. They should be looking at how they're treating their employees. Those who do it right in the long run will still be here. The other ones, at some point, will disappear. Now, as for that third tier or that third pillar, this is one that people generally get upset about, but it's still true, at least in the United States. Actually, pretty much anywhere in the world. If you're using currency and financial systems, you have to take economic stability and sustainability in account, because you have to actually sit down and go through, this is how people, earn their income in a capitalist society. This is how people quite often, good, bad, or indifferent, move up in classes through that economic structure. You have to look at how it affects the economics. You cannot destroy all businesses for environmental purposes. There's a balance. And I promise you, there is a balance, and except for in some industries that are just, there's no good sustainability path forward for them unless they change their feedstocks. Gas and oil is a great example. But you have to look at circular economies. You have to promote responsible financial practices, social welfare from your businesses. These are things that you have to consider if you want to be long term. It's funny, you look at companies like Sears, for example. They did, we're Sears. We were too big to fail. We're too big to fail. And then they failed. They did not evolve. They did not change their practices. And as the world changed, they did not. They felt like they were the anchor. The world moved on without them. And the businesses who don't comply today, the world will move on without them too. It's just a matter of time. New industries will come out that are more balanced in this economic sustainability factor, and they will fade. That's just how it happens. Green business practices will help companies reduce waste and energy, and it will actually reduce cost. You got companies using grant funding and government subsidies to buy things like solar panels that are just reducing their operational cost. They could have used it and bonused it out, but they didn't. They used it to remove a loss leader cost, like energy. That is what businesses do to get ahead. That's how they win. Looking at circular economy, can I get back my own waste and use it as a feedstock? Cell phone companies are becoming kind of a role model for this. They need those precious metals. There's a lot of trade-in process. They get those metals back. They recycle them into new phones within reason. But they're starting to create that circular economy where the phone you give out is the phone you give back before you get your new ones. And if we do those things, better stuff happens. Anybody remember, was it 2008 financial crisis? That was more of like a Ponzi scheme kind of math game that for a long time made a lot of people very, very rich. But at some point it crashed. That was about some people getting very rich over a short period of time. And they passed the bag around until the music stops. And when the music stopped, a lot of companies disappeared. There was no long-term sustainability within that economic system. So again, when you think about sustainability, no matter what you're looking at, you're reading something on the news, you're looking at something in a magazine, you're staring across the yard at something, and you're trying to think of sustainability. Think of all three pillars. How does it work? The three pillars working together creates a sustainable world. Without economic, social, or environmental aspects being together, something always falls out. That table, that chair, whatever analogy we want to use for the three pillars, it falls. It does not work. A well-balanced system ensures future generations inherit a world that is livable and prosperous. So anyways, I didn't mean to go on such a large rant about it, but when I was listening to them on the recycling roundtable, I didn't get the feeling that when they said the word sustainability, they thought it all the way through. And so at that time, I took that opportunity to explain the three pillars of sustainability. And if we're going to look at recycling, we have to look at all three sections. How does it make it worthwhile for the businesses? How does it make it worthwhile for the citizens? And how do we do it so well it helps the environment? And if we do that with everything we run into, I think we're going to come up with better plans. And I hope the Cook Foundation took that information as useful, and they're able to build a fantastic, robust plan. Anyways, that's all I had for you tonight. I know it's just me. It's less fun when it's just me. But I had to do a little venting. And if I vent with Rob, he's going to say nice things, and I'm not going to be able to get it all out all the way. Or Jamie's going to go talk about coconuts, Hawaii, and that I shouldn't be upset. But I wanted to get it out. I wanted to say it. I know this isn't necessarily the best place to put it, but I'm sure there's people out there who are working really, really hard to do good things who run into the same stuff. By the way, join my Facebook. You're welcome to ping me. You send me a message. Sometimes we got to talk it through so that we can feel better and keep doing what we're doing. You're always welcome to do so. Anyways, that's all I had for you tonight. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, share it with a friend or on social media. That always seems to help us quite a bit. Again, if you're feeling down or need energy or you're getting brain fog, Magic Mind. Magic Mind is absolutely amazing for that. And you can get 20% off just for being a listener. So go down into the link down in the description, click that, and then use sustainability as your code. So again, thank you all so very much for listening. And remember, all we're trying to do is get a little bit better. Little bit, big bit. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.